You leave a conversation and you're somehow exhausted. You didn't run a marathon, you just talked to someone. But your brain is fried, your energy is gone, and all you want is to lie face down somewhere quiet and not be perceived for a while. And the most frustrating part is it's not always someone you dislike. Sometimes it's a close friend, a family member, someone you genuinely care about, but being around them just takes every single time. Someone just appeared in your head, didn't they? Hold on to that thought. Today we're breaking down 10 types of people who drain your energy, what they do, why they do it, and what they all have in common that nobody says out loud. That last part lands in the outro. You'll want to be there. Smash like and subscribe, it costs nothing, and it genuinely helps more than you think. The chronic complainer. First up, because everyone has at least one, and some people are running a whole collection. Every conversation is a catalog of what went wrong. The job, the traffic, the coworkers, the weather, the food, other people's opinions about things that don't affect them. And honestly, you don't even disagree with all of it. The world does have a lot going on. But here's what gives it away. They're not trying to fix any of it. They just want to run it on a loop. With you as the live studio audience, the science here is genuinely annoying. Emotional contagion is a real, documented thing. Your brain mirrors the emotional state of people around you through nervous system synchrony. Being in extended proximity to chronic negativity actually raises your cortisol. You don't carry their problems home, you carry their nervous system home. The kicker? They almost always feel lighter after venting. You're the one left holding everything they put down. The conversation hijacker. You start a sentence. By the end of it, somehow it's about them. This one runs so smoothly, it's almost impressive. You share a story, they have a better one. You mention a hard week funny, they've actually had a really hard month. You share good news, oh wow, something great just happened for them too. Every topic is a ramp that curves back to the same destination, themselves. No malice, no awareness. Just a fully operational autopilot set to one channel. What makes this actually draining is that your brain needs to feel heard just as much as it needs to feel connected. When every exchange is one-directional, you leave feeling emptier than when you arrived because you technically talked to someone, but you never actually existed in the conversation. You just kind of hosted it, unpaid, again. Drop a comment if you're physically restraining yourself from tagging someone right now. The emotional dumper. The emotional dumper isn't necessarily dramatic. They can be calm, articulate, even pleasant. But every conversation follows the same structure. Them, their stress, their anxiety, their situation, their thoughts about their situation. You listen because you care. That's not a flaw in you, but notice what never happens. They don't ask how you're doing. Not really. The how are you is a social warm-up before the actual download begins. A formality. A throat clear before the main event. When they leave, they feel lighter. You feel like you just finished a double shift at a job you didn't apply for, with no pay, no benefits, and no HR department to file a complaint with. This is one-directional emotional labor. You're processing someone else's feelings while your own sit in a waiting room with no appointment. Over time, your brain starts tagging conversations with this person as tasks to get through, not connections to look forward to. The constant reassurance seeker. Do you think that was okay? Are you sure they're not mad at me? Was that weird? I feel like it was weird. You answer. They feel better. For about 11 minutes. Then there's a new question. Here's a way to picture what's happening. Imagine a friend who can never decide where to eat. Every time you pick the place, it works fine, and they're relieved. But the next time you go out, they still can't decide. You're not helping them get better at choosing. You're just making the choice for them every single time, forever. That's what this dynamic looks like emotionally. Every reassurance you give becomes the only reason they felt okay, not something they built for themselves. So the loop doesn't close, it just resets. You become someone they need to check in with every few hours to feel stable. And you start to dread the notification not because you stopped caring, but because the relationship was never built in a way that could actually sustain either of you. Halfway through, and the next few, are the ones that are hardest to name in the moment. Stay with it. The Crisis Addict. Here's what separates the Crisis Addict from everyone else on this list. They don't just arrive with problems, they construct them. When life is calm, a new emergency materializes. A throwaway comment becomes a serious issue. A minor inconvenience becomes something that needs your full attention, your emotional bandwidth, your afternoon, and it needed it 10 minutes ago. The psychology. Some people's nervous systems get calibrated to high arousal states over time. Stillness starts to feel empty, even threatening. So chaos becomes the default, not something that happens to them, but something they generate, often without realizing it, because it's the state in which they feel most alive and most significant. Being in their orbit means your baseline stress level gets pulled up to meet theirs week after week. And unlike with a real crisis, there's no resolution point, because by the time this one settles, the next one is already being built. The unsolicited fixer. This one is counterintuitive because they genuinely mean well. That's almost the whole problem. Every time you share something, a rough day, a complicated feeling, a situation you're working through, they skip straight to solutions. No pause. No, that sounds really hard. Just, okay, here's what you should do. Efficient, practical, completely missing the point. Because sometimes you don't need to be fixed, you need to be heard. Those are two different things, and jumping from zero to problem solving without stopping at acknowledged leaves you feeling more alone than before you opened your mouth. Over time, you start self-editing. You share less. You filter the real stuff out before it ever gets said because you already know what's coming. And managing what you reveal to someone, pre-screening your own experience before you speak, is its own quiet form of exhausting. The passive-aggressive communicator. No, I'm fine. Not fine, if that's what you want. It is not what they want. I just figured you'd be busy. They are upset that you were busy. Nothing is ever said directly. Everything requires decoding. You're not just having a conversation, you're running a parallel translation process in real time to figure out what's actually being communicated underneath what's technically being said. The cognitive load is significant. Your brain is doing double the work on every exchange, processing the surface and scanning the subtext simultaneously. And because nothing is ever acknowledged openly, there's no resolution available. You cannot address a problem that officially does not exist. You leave these conversations not just tired, but vaguely unsettled, like you missed something, but you're not sure what. That feeling has a name. It's called not having been spoken to directly by an adult. Comment if this made you think of a specific person in under 3 seconds. The guilt tripper. After everything I've done for you, I just thought you cared more than that. It's fine. I'll figure it out myself. The guilt tripper's tool is morality specifically, making you feel like a bad person for having completely normal limits. No yelling, no threats. Just one sentence with the right delivery. And suddenly you're spending the next hour in your own head, cross-examining your own behavior like you're simultaneously the defendant, the prosecutor, and the jury. What drains you long-term isn't the guilt itself, it's the internal trial. You know you didn't do anything wrong. But you keep reopening the case, running it again, looking for the flaw in your own defense. And every time you do, a little more of you folds, not because they convinced you, but because the cognitive cost of holding your ground became too high. Your boundaries don't disappear all at once. They just get slightly smaller every time, until one day you look up and realize you've been quietly optimizing your behavior around someone else's reactions for months. The subtle competitor, you get promoted. They go oddly quiet. You share good news and the conversation pivots faster than feels natural. You mention something you're proud of and the response is technically positive, but lands flat like warmth running at about 40% of normal capacity. That low-grade tension you feel around this person, your nervous system is picking up something your conscious mind hasn't fully named yet. They're running a competition you never agreed to enter. Your wins get logged in a scoreboard only they can see. What makes this one insidious is that it's invisible. No confrontation, no obvious hostility. Just a consistent pattern-flat reactions to your highs, slightly more engagement around your difficulties that gradually teaches you to pre-edit what you share before you say it. If you watched our last video about jealousy, this is that person. The conditional warmth person. This is the most draining type on the list, and the hardest to name, which is exactly what keeps it running. When you're behaving in ways they approve of, agreeing, not pushing back, showing up exactly how they need, they're warm, present, engaged. It feels good. It feels like the relationship you thought you signed up for. But the moment you have a different opinion, a boundary, a need of your own, the warmth pulls back, not dramatically, just less, cooler, quieter. Nothing you can point to. Nothing you can bring up without sounding like you're overreacting. And your brain, because connection is non-negotiable for it, notices immediately and starts adjusting. You soften your tone, you walk things back, You preemptively change what you were about to say, not because you think they're right, but because the alternative is the cold, and the cold feels like rejection. That's conditional warmth. It works because it doesn't look like control. It just looks like them being in a mood. 10 types, all different. One thing in common, they found you. And that's the part nobody says out loud. People who take energy consciously or not tend to gravitate toward people who give it freely because you listen, because you show up, because when someone needs to offload, you don't walk away. That's not a flaw in you. That's actually the thing that makes you worth being around. But here's the shift. Being a giver doesn't mean being a public utility. You are not obligated to be endlessly available to everyone who figured out that you're good at this. You can care about someone and still decide how much of yourself you extend to them. The goal isn't to become someone who doesn't care. The goal is to stop pretending that certain relationships aren't costing you more than they're giving back, and to stop calling that cost just how it is. You noticed. That's already something. Tell me in the comments, is there a type on this list you didn't realize was draining you until right now? Or one you recognized but never had a name for before? Those are the most interesting answers. I'll be reading,